Hey everyone, my name is Stella Pollard and I am coming to you from Franklin County Schools, and this is going to be a presentation to help parents understand Google Classroom. We're going to be talking about what it is, why teachers use it, how we can help students submit assignments, how we can help them see assignments, how we can help them organize their Google Classroom, and really just how to help them and you both feel successful when you are working with your students inside of Google Classroom. So we are very happy that you are here. I am the instructional technology coordinator for Franklin County Schools. So if you ever are really struggling with a resource that one of our schools use and you want someone to help you understand it, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is stella.pollard@franklin.kyschools.us, and I will be so happy to help you with that. So let's get started. We are going to be looking about all of this. I think I just said that. And if you ever have any questions, please let me know, and I will be so happy to help. Okay, let's get started. So the website that the students go to in order to get to Google Classroom is really just classroom.google.com. And when the students go there, they're going to see all of their classes. If they are on one of their Chromebooks, they're going to see on their little slide deck down here, or not slide deck, but their little deck at the bottom of the screen, they could see an icon that looks like Google Classroom. This little board right here is what that looks like. And they could also click on this little, what we call waffle up here at the top. And if they are logged into their actual school account, they will be able to see Google Classroom. Go to my school account right there. That is, so they could click there and get to it. But classroom.google.com will get them there. There's tons of different classes that I'm enrolled in, and your student might only have one. They may also be enrolled in other classes as well. And for them to get enrolled, and usually teachers do this inside of the classroom, so for them to actually be enrolled, they click this plus sign, and they're only going to have one option, and it's join class, and they will type the code in that the teacher has given them. I wouldn't recommend parents actually joining the class because it's going to be harder for the teacher to grade all of the assignments, and you will get all of the notifications. We're going to talk about in a little bit how to get parent or Guardian summaries directly from Google. So that's coming up. We'll get you there. Okay, so that is how the students join the class. You're going to see that all of these different tiles have some white space down here. And this one actually has some assignments that are coming up due. So I could, as a student, I could click on those links and they would actually take me to the assignment that's due today or tomorrow or whenever. There's other icons here as well. If they click on either of these icons, they could open the work that they have. So that's what this looks like. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. And this is actually, the little folder actually will take them to their Google Drive, and it will show them all of the assignments that they have for that specific class. I don't recommend using that because you can find all of these resources directly inside of the Google Classroom, and the Google Drive can kind of be a lot, especially the later in the school year that it gets. All right, so if we look at these classes, we also notice these 3 dots up here in the corner of each of them. If we click on those, that is how students can move their classes to put them in order. So they could click that and move it, and then they can just drag and drop those. So they can move them and shift them around. It's different for students. So they just select the classes that they want to go in which order. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get into one of these classes. If you find one that you want to be in, you will go and click on it, and then it opens it up. So it automatically takes you to the page called Stream. And the Stream is kind of like a Facebook stream. It's where students can see everything that's going on inside of the class. They can see what assignments the teachers have posted. And if teachers have this option turned on, they can even share something with their class. A lot of teachers do have that feature turned off, but if they do have it, then they could post like a YouTube video or something they created to help the students. Over here to the side, you are also going to see that little section where it says due today, due tomorrow. So kind of like another little to-do list, just to kind of make sure the students have all of the opportunities to see those. And then on classwork, if students click on that stream, this is where the meat of Google Classroom really is. So if the teacher has certain topics, like for instance, in this class, the topics are reading tasks, assessments, classwork, class materials. Teachers have complete editing access on that. So they could have one for bell ringers, exit slips, classwork, whatever it is. Or they could also just not have any topics at all, and you would not see any of these bars that are kind of changing up or breaking up the assignments themselves. It just kind of depends on the teacher and their preference for that. And also, I want to point out that my class is green. There's a lot of different colors the teachers can pick from. So if it's a different color, it's still the same thing. And if you remember back on those little tiles when we first clicked on the Google Classroom, it had this little icon here and it said view your work. And if I click on that here, it shows me exactly the same thing. This is where I can actually see all of the assignments that have been returned with a grade, like this one. Or I can see the assignments that are missing, like this one, meaning it had a due date. I didn't do it before the due date. Somehow Google has marked it as missing. And then I can see all of the assignments that have been assigned, but I haven't done yet. This one that says turn in means that I have turned it in and I am awaiting the feedback or the grade from the teacher to return it. And I also want to point out that some teachers do not grade inside of Google Classroom because it doesn't sync directly with Infinite Campus. So if you see a bunch of assignments that are marked turned in, but there's no grades with them, don't be alarmed, especially if you go to Infinite Campus and you see grades in there for those. It's just the teacher's way of personalizing his or her Google Classroom. You can also filter these assignments by maybe missing or whatever you want to select there. And you want to filter eventually because this list will eventually get so long that you'll need that in order to find anything if you want to use that feature. All right, so I'm going to press the back button here. Well, I'll have to click it a few times because I clicked around. And when I click the back button, it's going to take me back to my classwork. I also want to point out that these little icons that are color-coded also have an important visual view, like just right off the bat, a visual glance of what the student still needs to do, which are highlighted, and then which ones the student still has to do, or has completed, has turned in. The ones the students have turned in are actually grayed out, so the students will know, hey, I still have this one to do, or hey, I've got this one. I want to see if the teacher has graded it. And if the student clicks on a certain assignment, it's going to tell them whether it's assigned or graded or turned in. So that's another way they can see that. The icons also have different pictures on them. This icon means that it's an assignment. This icon means that it's a question. And this icon means that it is a material, a class material from the teacher, like a syllabus. Okay, so let's take a look at the assignment. I'm going to click on this very first assignment up here at the top, and I can see that the teacher has attached some directions to this assignment, but I want to first click View Assignment, and I'm going to open up the resource that she has given me. And I could have looked at that resource before I clicked View Assignment. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, now as a student, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to pick 3 because I want to choose one box from each row. Okay, got it. So I'm going to come back over to my Google Classroom, and I have 2 options. I can either add from Google Drive a link or a file. So let's say that I have actually completed this and I made it inside of Google Drive. They can click on that and it takes them to their Google Drive, and it automatically takes them to what they've most recently worked on. So I'm going to find what I've done and attach it. Now, usually the students won't have already started something inside of Google Drive. They can click Create. They can click any of these docs. That's what I'm going to select. And they can submit with more than one attachment. So right now I've got this one and I've got this one. Also notice that it automatically puts my name directly on all of the assignments that I attach. So I no longer have to worry about turning things in without a name on it or whatever that may be. And if a student ever attaches something and they're like, crap, that's not the right one, that's not what I wanted to attach, they can always click the X button. No big deal. Okay. So to open up the blank Google Doc that I just created, I just click on it and it opens it up. And inside of here, I can begin typing away. Now, of course, the student would want to have more, well, there we go. Now, of course, the students would want to have more detail than what I'm putting into this, but this is pretty much, I just wanted to show you how to attach assignments into Google Classroom. Okay, so I've completed that. Now, if I come back over, and I was to even close this out because Google automatically saves stuff for me, I can close that, and then I go back to Google Classroom. And if I click on that assignment again, it's going to automatically bring up exactly what it was that I left off on working with. If you have a kid who accidentally deletes stuff, because we all know that working with those little trackpads are hard, and sometimes we accidentally highlight stuff and then we delete it all by accident, like that. And your kid starts freaking out because they just deleted everything and it's awful. Google also has this awesome little thing called Revision History, and there's a link right here where it says all changes saved in Drive. If I click there, it's going to show me the version history of everything that I've done. Now, to see that, I need to click on this little arrow here where it says Expand Detailed Versions, and it gives me all of the different things that I've done to it. And if I click Restore this version, it actually restores all of the work that I did, and it's all right there. So you don't have to worry about your kid accidentally deleting things, because it happens. But that's just an awesome feature to have inside of Google Docs. And then that's also in Google Slides, Google Sheets, whatever feature inside of Google that you're working with, that is right there for you. Okay, so let's say that I'm done. I've completed this assignment, and I click Turn In. I can see automatically where it went from assigned, and it marked it as turned in, meaning the teacher has not graded it yet, but I've already done it. Now, students no longer will have access to edit their files. And the reason why Google does this is because once students have completed the assignment and they've turned it in, the teachers get a timestamp, so the students are held accountable for those due dates, and they can't edit it unless the teacher returns it to the student or the student goes and unsubmits the assignment. The teacher will be notified if a student unsubmits, and the new submission date will be marked inside of the teacher's account, so they'll be able to see when the student turned it in and the changes that were made. If a teacher returns the student's work, that doesn't necessarily mean that the student needs to redo the assignment. It's just like the teacher returning paperwork back to a student because they have graded it and they want to give it back. So return does not necessarily mean a bad thing. It could mean that the teacher does want the student to resubmit, but usually the teacher will tell the student if that is the case. The student can also add a private comment to the teacher, and if this option is turned on, they could add a class comment. Okay, so I'm going to go back. And sometimes if I have a lot, it's easier just to hit these 3 little bars here and go back to language arts this way and go back to classwork. Sometimes it's just quicker. Okay, so what if something's graded? If I click on one of these that are grayed out, I can see that it's graded. And if I click view assignment, I can see my score, what the teacher put as my score. Or in this case, this one was actually a quiz. I can see the score that I got on that. So if I click here, and also before I jump too far ahead, if I look in the private comments, it looks like the teacher herself has actually left me a little comment there. It says, please review the questions you have missed. Let me know when you are ready to retest. So, this teacher actually is going to let me take this quiz over again. If I click on that, it's going to tell me you have already responded to this Google form, but this teacher has it set up to where I can view my score. So I'm going to be able to view the questions that I got correct and incorrect. All right, so I click view score. And now that the quiz has loaded, I can see all of the questions that I got correct and the one that I got incorrect. So I would know that I would need to review this and find the correct answer. Now, this doesn't mean that every teacher is going to allow their students to retest or requiz, and I know that all assessments are different, so please make sure that you're taking this with a grain of salt. This is just kind of showing you all of the things that Google Classroom can do, not necessarily how all teachers use it. Okay, so I'm going to click back. The other icon that is on here is a little question mark, and if I click on that, I can see this is actually a question that the teacher is asking her class. So if I click view question, I read the question, and the students can then reply right here. And after the student has replied, they can then see their classmates' responses. And sometimes the teachers do give them an option to review and reply to one another. Okay. And then, like I said, this one's just a class material, meaning that there's something attached there, but the student doesn't necessarily have to do anything with it other than to read it. This is not an assignment or a question. It's just a resource. Okay. So the last thing, the last little tab inside of Google Classroom for Students is People. And for this class, it's pretty plain because right now there's a teacher and I am the only student enrolled inside of this class, so I will not have access to see my classmates. But if this was a class that I had multiple peers inside of it enrolled in there, then I would be able to see their names. So that is pretty much Google Classroom inside of one class. This little three lines up here, if you click that, the students won't have this because they won't be teaching any of them. But this is the home button, so they can go to the main page pretty quickly that way. And this is the calendar, so if they open that, it's going to show them all of the things that they have due inside of Google Classroom or the assignments that are coming up. They have a nice to-do list, which will tell them all of the things that they are missing and all of the things that were assigned with no due date. So all of the things they still need to do, and then at the bottom it will say due today. Hopefully theirs won't be quite this long. And then if they see the done, they can see all the things that they have marked finished, and they can even filter that by class if they wish. Also on those 3 lines, they have all of the classes they are enrolled in. They can see all of the classes that they've been enrolled in that are archived. And then on settings, they can actually go inside of here and turn off email notifications for specific things if they have email. And they could even turn off all email notifications if they want. They could change their profile picture for the Google Classroom. And that's pretty much it. Oh, they can also turn off notifications for specific classes down there at the bottom. All right. So in a nutshell, that is pretty much Google Classroom. I want to show you now the Google Classroom Guardian summaries. And this is going to be how teachers can communicate with parents directly through Google. And the only thing the teacher does is inputs your email address, and then Google really does do the rest of this. So let's take a look and see what this option is. Step number 1, you need to email the teacher. Before you get access to seeing the students' Google Classroom data, you will first need an email invitation. You must email one teacher on your child's roster, and if you have a student that's in middle or high school and they go to multiple classes, you could just email their homeroom teacher or whichever teacher you prefer. And once you have that email address put in, side of Google Classroom, you will get updates for all of the classes the students are enrolled in. The only thing is the teacher must have, there's a little switch, and I can show you what that looks like. The teacher must have their Guardian summary switch turned on, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. That way you can understand what I'm talking about here. So let's see here. I'll click on this. And then if the teacher does have Guardian summaries turned on, then you'll be able to get summaries for their classes. So if you go and you do not get all of those, don't worry. If there's certain teachers that don't know how to do that, I can help them out. So you just let me know. Okay, so after you've emailed the teacher, they've put in your email address, you can go to accept the invitation, because you will get an email sent directly to your account, and you do have to click that accept. And it doesn't matter if you have a Gmail or Google account. It doesn't matter which email provider that you are using. You can still get those emails directly to you. After you accept the invitation, it will ask you how frequently you want notifications. You have 2 options. Option number 1 is weekly. Option number 2 is daily. And then after you hit accept and then you select your frequency of notifications, then you'll start getting emails that look like this. And these emails are going to be broken down by classes, by teachers, and then what's missing and what's assigned and what's coming up due. So that's pretty much Google Guardian summaries. And if you ever have any questions about Google Classroom or another tool that one of our schools are using, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Stella Pollard, and my email is stella.pollard@franklin.kyschools.us. If I could ever be of any assistance, please just let me know. I hope this video was helpful for you and your family, and I hope that you have a great day. Thank you.